Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Bill Williams, author, former financial advisor, Washington, D.C. consultant. He has been sending out a daily humorous email to a worldwide audience for last almost 30 years. And now he has a new series of book uh, for about the entitled 20 years of internet humor. So we'll talk about all that and also about his book. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you, AJ. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Bill. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk from about. We'll talk with you about humor, about wisdom, all your 30 years of email sending and all that stuff, and also about your series, book series. So we'll talk all about. But before that, let's understand a bit about your journey, your background, so that people know who they are listening to.
Well, I was a child growing up as with a father in the military, so I grew up all over the United States. As a matter of fact, I attended 14 schools before I graduated from high school. And being growing up on Air Force bases, I thought I'd wanted to be an aeronautical engineer until I got to school and discovered I hated math. Figured that wasn't going to be a good opportunity. So I changed majors a couple of times and actually wound up with a bachelor's and master's degree in journalism and broadcasting. And did that for a number of years. And then, as you mentioned, I went to Washington, D.C. and set up my own business as a communications consultant. And did that for 20 years. Worked for the White House, worked for a lot of different government agencies, trade associations, and corporations. But things changed. The digital wave came out. We got away from using film, and I decided to change my career and move to Ohio, where my new daughters could grow up around aunts and uncles and cousins and friends, which I never had a chance to do growing up. And I've been doing that. And so that's my background, very varied, done a lot of different things, and continuing to do something new with this publishing venture.
Absolutely, absolutely, Bill. So where did this email thing come on? But before that, let me understand in terms of your lobbying and in terms of the Washington D.C. part, how much humor play a role in your consulting work or lobbying when you were at Washington D.C.
Actually, humor didn't play a large part, and it wasn't really something that I got into until I was in the financial situation. And what it was the fact that this new thing called internet and email came out. And I had a wide-ranging group of salespeople throughout the Midwest of the U.S., and they all had email, but nobody ever read it because it was something new. So I thought I got to get people to read it so I can keep in touch. So I started through Friday, and it worked. And they started sharing these jokes with their clients, and actually their sales went up. So that's not a bad deal. And then the clients said, could we get on the list too? And email doesn't cost postage or anything. So I started sending it out to the clients as well. And it worked so well that 30 years later, I'm still doing it. I've got people in India, I've got people in Australia, I've got people in Europe, and I've got people all over the United States I've never met that are still getting these thoughts for the day, Monday through Friday. It doesn't cost anything. It's free for anybody who'd like to sign up. And why am I doing it? Well, I never made a dime from it, but I just enjoy sending something out to make people smile or laugh. And then I thought, well, maybe I could do something with all these things that I have stashed in my computer, and decided to put out a book. And when I took it to a publisher, they said, well, you've got enough here. It would not make a book. It would make a series of books. So the first book in the series came out January 1st, and I'm really pleased with the results that I'm getting from readers.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, did you nowadays earlier on people used to welcome mail? It's a very good thing to know that people still welcome your emails because now it's the time of spam and spam blockers and putting it in the spam folder and whatnot. It's a big industry around that itself. How do you look at your emails and the so millions? The other day, one of my guests, he was telling me that around 95% of the millions and millions of emails that are generated in today's time, 95%, more than 95% is spam. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, I totally understand that. And I do find that a lot of my emails go to spam folders. So about 6 months ago, I decided to go with a professional organization that distributes emails. And they're all coded now so that the internet itself knows that they're not spam and they go into the email box. And it's something that I couldn't do just sending these things out on my own. So now I'm paying somebody to make sure that they get where they're supposed to go.
Right. And you are not earning anything out of it. How long, how big is your email list now, Bill?
Right now, I've got about 600 people on it.
600. That's a lot
Yeah,
of people who
but
want.
it's constantly changing because I've certainly had many, many more on it. But as they move out or unfortunately die, because over that period of time, I've lost a lot of readers and contributors. Just the fact that we're all getting older, and I'm in that list too.
Right, right, Bill. So, do you think people are, people still welcome humor in their day-to-day life in emails the way it used to be, or is it less? Is it more? What is your experience about it, Bill?
Well, my experience is that the people who have signed up for this are getting it because they've asked to get it. It's not that I'm just sending it out broadly to anybody that I happen to encounter. And so if they're not asking for it, they're not getting it. And then periodically, I am able now to do a check to see who's actually opening their emails. And if somebody goes for a month without opening them, I send them a note saying, "Hey, I'm taking you off the list. If you want back on it, let me know. But I don't want to send you something that you don't want to get."
Absolutely. What type of stories or emails that you get? Where do you get such the content of such emails?
Well, it started out, I was just gathering stories that I'd heard myself and using them. But probably 25 years ago, people started sending me stuff saying, "Hey, you might want to use this." And it wound up so that I had so many contributions clogging up my computers that I could probably go for another 2 years without having to write anything. I do have to edit a lot of them, I've got to admit, though, because some of them come in, they're a little strange.
Right. That's like an editor. Every morning you got to wear your editor's hat and actually decide which one, which one to send, or maybe a day before you have to decide. Okay, this is what goes tomorrow. It's a lot of work indeed, Bill.
It, it is. And, what I try to do is spend some time, give myself one afternoon a week and get all the things ready to go and schedule them for the following week. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's Friday and I've got them scheduled up through next Wednesday. So later today, I'll finish the week and start another week later.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you share some of the humorous stories that you have shared in this, and the people have been very impacted, or they have written back to you?
Yeah, well, one that's been very popular in the U.S. We have animal crackers, which are little cookies that are in the shape of animals, great for kids. And Jennifer and her son Jimmy were out shopping at the grocery store. They got home and Jimmy immediately ran into the kitchen with a bag of groceries and opened it up and pulled out a box of animal crackers. And Jenny said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm spreading them out here because the box said if the seal is broken, you can't eat them, and I'm looking for the seal." And another one had to do with a retired U.S. Marine, big tough guy, but he decided when he retired that he'd really like to work with kids and be a teacher. So he got a job at this high school, and the principal decided, "Well, you're a Marine. I'm going to give you some of the tough kids to deal with." And so the kids on the first day of school knew this guy was a Marine, and they thought, "Well, maybe we'll check him out." Well, the week before he started the teaching, he'd actually had an accident and had to wind up with a cast over his chest. And it was okay. It wasn't a thick one, but it was hidden under his shirt. And the first day in class, the window was open and they came into the classroom and a breeze came up and blew some papers off his desk and blew his tie up. And so he reached down, took the tie and put it on his chest and took a stapler and stapled it to his chest. And from that point on, he didn't have any difficulty with the students.
Right, right. Do you only share humor much or about wisdom, other stories, touching stories?
Touching stories, yes. Well, one thing I did notice is that almost any story I put out there, somebody's not going to like. And that's perfectly okay because nobody likes everything. But one of the favorite touching stories took place many years ago. It was winter, and this lady was walking down the street and saw this little boy standing in front of a shoe store, and she looked, wasn't wearing any shoes. And he said, what are you looking in the window there for? And he says, I was praying that God would, get me some shoes somehow. She said, well, let's go in the store. So she took the little boy in the store and asked the salesperson, could you get me a basin of water and a bunch of socks about this boy's size? So she took him in the back of the store and knelt down and washed his feet and dried them off and then put one of the pairs of socks on him. Said, bring me a pair of shoes that would fit this boy. And he did. She put the shoes on him and gave him all the extra socks and said, I think you're going to be a lot happier now. And as she got up to leave, the boy looked up at her and with tears in his eyes said, ma'am, are you God's wife?
Right. Is this the type of, stories that keep your motivation going? It needs a lot of motivation to write for so many years every morning.
I enjoy it, and I get feedback from people that, hey, I really like that. As a matter of fact, every day I get, maybe half a dozen comments on what I just sent out. And that's what keeps me going. I love to hear from people, and every now and then they'll say, that's terrible. Take me off your list. Okay, not a problem. I'm not going to please everybody all the time, but I just enjoy doing it. Some people like to collect stamps. I like to send out jokes.
Absolutely. And these speak, these motivate, these do so many things. And that's where people want it a bit more. That's why it's being turned into a series. Tell us a bit about the series. It's a good idea. How did the publisher get motivated? That motivation comes out of a bit of money because it has to sell and they have to make money. It means they understand the market that it's going to make some money, a lot of money for them.
Well, quite frankly, this is what we would call hybrid publishing. Yes, I got in touch with someone to actually do the work, do the editing, do the cover design, do the printing, but I paid for it all. It wasn't that they handed me money and said, let's go. So I'm backing the thing completely. And frankly, I hope it works. It'd be nice to make a profit one of these days.
Absolutely. It should make quite a bit of profit. I'm quite confident of that. So when is this particular, first part of this series, when is that coming out?
It came out January 1st. Okay, so it is now currently available on all of the internet bookstores and in the US, at least all of the major chains, and people can get it printed copies or ebook copies. And right now, the ebook is on special sale till the end of January for only $2.99 in US dollars. So that's a pretty good price. The paperback is $24.95.
Right. And now anyone can get it in any part of the world.
That's correct. The title of the book is 20 Years of Internet Humor. Okay. So if you go to a bookstore or go online, you can look at it as 20 Years of Internet Humor. And if anybody would like to be getting my thought for the day, they can sign up for me at www.internet-humor.com. And it's a free sign up, so no problem.
Wonderful. And Bill, when are the other part of this series coming, and how when do you plan to get that out?
Well, I'd like to recoup my investment in the first one before I start spending money on the next one, but I'm looking at having it out towards the end of the year. And then once that happens, I'll probably be sending or publishing 2 or 3 a year from that point on. At least that's my plan.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested with that, and I will also look forward to, I will certainly find this book on the internet and also look forward to the other ones and see what people find. Why people get interested into your stories and be a part of that, all that fun and wisdom.
Well, I've gotten a number of very, very good reviews on the thing, so I'm very pleased about that.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it.